connecting to the cloud server. What's that about?
Yeah.
Good morning. We're just going to wait for a few more people to come in. Good morning, everyone, and welcome back. This is our third instalment now in our series of PA Live virtual conferences. And we are actually absolutely delighted that we've had over almost 250 PAs and EAs joining us today for our series of webinar sessions. And we really hope that these will give you some insightful tips on how to make your job easier, as well as some great inspiration and insight. We have a great lineup of speakers today, and I want to thank every single one of them for joining us and taking part to impart their wisdom and also their knowledge. And thank you once again to our sponsors as well, who have helped us make this event possible. They are PlanDisc, Marriott, the Inspire Me Travel Company, 7 Events, London Jet Charter, and Uber. So please enjoy the session today. Please get involved as well. We've got the chat box and we've got the Q&A box live, and we'll be taking questions as well at the end of the sessions. Now, before we come on to Matthew and before we jump into the ins and outs of multiple inbox management, I would like to just introduce our sponsor from Uber. This is a short video. Uber for Business, with gift cards and vouchers on Uber for Business at your disposal. You'll be able to get team meals, client presents, sorry, and Zoom lunches out of the way so you can focus on what matters. Uber for Business cards can be purchased in bulk with no added fees. They're available globally in multiple currencies, and they will delight your team with local meals and on-demand rides. Now, bear with me just a second. I'm just going to share my screen to do the video. That's brilliant. Fantastic. And we'll send around some details for Uber for Business if anyone is interested after the session. Okay, so without further ado, I'd like to bring on Matthew Want. And Matthew is going to be discussing today, and he's got a lovely presentation all about managing multiple inboxes. Matthew is the Executive Assistant to Lucy Brazier, the CEO of Marcham Publishing, Specialist Publishers of Executive Secretary Magazine. Welcome, Matthew. Lovely to have you here today.
Thank you, Charlotte, and thank you for everything you've done with this event. Am I good to go? I'll share my screen?
Yep, you can go. Thank you.
Perfect. I'm going to share a presentation. It'll be 2 seconds. There we go. Brilliant. Okay, so I hope you can all see that, and there'll also be a copy of the slides available after the event if you'd like a copy. Firstly, again, thank you to Charlotte and the PA Live team for organising this event. I'm sure you're going to have a wonderful day ahead with everything. So, as Charlotte said, this is me. I'm Matthew Want, EA Executive Assistant to Lucy Brazier. I've worked with Lucy now for 9 years, and many of you may have seen that tomorrow is our Executive Secretary Magazine's 10th birthday, and we will be rebranding to Executive Support Magazine. So if any of you would like to join us for the birthday party tomorrow, you'd please be more than welcome. So, oh, is that going to work? Sorry, 2 seconds. There we go. Right. So throughout the event, if you can tweet me and you can tweet hashtag #PALifeLive, which you'll see on the screen now, you will have a chance to win a place at ICEYE Tech, which will be taking place in June of this year. We did ICEYE Live Global last week, and for any of you that are here now that were involved, you'll know how amazing that was. We had over 1,600 people joining us, and it was such an amazing few days. So please do throughout the event. Okay, so today I'm going to be talking to you about managing multiple inboxes. Now, many of you here, sorry, it keeps doing that, apologies. Many of you here manage multiple inboxes for either your executive or any other parts within your company. And us being a small company, we did have, when I first started with Lucy, there was just the two of us, and we're going back 9 years now, there was just the two of us. So being a smaller company, we did unfortunately have that. We did have to take on more than you would say in a big company. So it's something that I have dealt with now for the last 6 or 7 years, and it is something I feel I've got good experience on, and I want to share my tips with you. So I'm just going to start off. This is me when I was younger. I was about, oh, how old was I there? 5, I think, maybe. And when I was born with a rare disease called biliatresia. Now, for those of you who don't know, biliatresia is something that affects the liver, and it can also cause severe jaundice. So I'm just going to stop sharing for a second. I don't know what's going on here. It'll be 2 seconds. Where is it coming up? Okay, let's try that again. There we go, apologies for that. So that was me when I was about 5 years old, and I was born with a disease called biliatresia, and because of that I had 2 liver transplants. So it's been quite an adventure from the beginning. So going back, before I met Lucy, I worked in a garden centre, so something completely different. I had no experience as an assistant. I had not done any of this sort of work before. And I met Lucy through our local Chamber of Commerce. Now, we were both volunteering to be secretary on the Chamber of Commerce. And at the time, Lucy had had the magazine for about a year. And she said to me, would you like to come on board and do some admin for me part-time? And I said, yes, please, that would be brilliant. So I started doing, I think it was 2 or 3 days a week, and eventually it built up over time. So when I took on Lucy's inbox, when I took on Lucy's inbox in 2015, again, it was the first time I'd done this sort of thing. And to say it was a shock is an understatement. I had no clue how to do this. I'd seen people who managed multiple inboxes. I saw people who had done this for years, and I looked at it and I thought, how am I ever going to do this? So when I took over Lucy's inbox, first day I remember we were sitting down and we're talking, and took it over, started looking through it, and there was over, I think it was 40 to 50,000 unread email messages in her inbox. Now, for those of you that know me, I'm not, I don't really scare easily, but looking at that, I did think, wow, what am I going to do? I sat there and I thought to myself, what am I going to do? So my first thought, I'll be honest with you, was to say goodbye and just walk out, just leave it and pretend it didn't happen. But as we know, as assistants, we don't do that. We sit there and we think, right, how can we make this work? As we went on, we then invented a system. It's called the email triage system. Now, the email triage system, we do have a copy of the PDF document, which I'm more than happy to share with you after the event. I can share it with Charlotte, or I can share it from my email address. Please feel free to email me. I'll put my email address into the chat after the event. So feel free, if you'd like a copy of that, I will talk about it on the next slide. The idea of the email triage system is to go through and is to also look what folders we have. It's a light bulb moment. You know, you look at the folders you've got. We break it down into 5 folders. So there's 5 categories that we've got. and it makes it easier for Lucy to see. So these aren't in any order, they're just as I'm reading them, and there will be more detail on the triage PDF. So the first one is the today folder. Now, with the amount that Lucy's traveling, we all know with executives that travel, they don't necessarily have the best amount of time to sit there and search all their emails, especially when they've been on stage all day, or they've been in meetings, or if they've just, they've been running around, they've been traveling, whatever they've been doing. They don't have the time to sit there and sift through a full inbox. So what I do each day is I'll look through Lucy's inbox. I'll find anything that needs to go into the day folder that needs to be dealt with today and put it into that folder. So obviously when Lucy's traveling, which at the moment obviously is not happening, when Lucy's traveling, it will go into the today folder. She knows that when she comes off stage, she can sit down there, she can have a look at the system, and she can have a look at the folder, and she'll know that the only emails she needs to reply to today are the ones that are in the today folder. If there's something that's really, really urgent that's come in that Lucy may not see, even though it's in the today folder, I will send her a message on WhatsApp or Messenger or whatever you use with your executive, just to make her aware there is something urgent that needs to be dealt with. Now, the next folder is this week. Now, this week are things that need to be done, but don't need to be done today. So for this week, for example, if there's a project going on and you need to let someone know something within the next week or so, we'll put it into this week. Lucy, again, when she's got more free time, she can sit there, she can look through this week, and she can look at what she needs to do. FYI, speaks for itself, for your information. So the for your information folder is stuff that I think Lucy may need to see if someone's replied to an email about something, but they don't necessarily need to action anything on it. So if Lucy's sitting there again, if she's got some spare time, I know Lucy does it often when she's on a plane or whatever it might be. The FYI folder can just sit there, you can just sift through it, and there may be things Lucy wants to reply to, but 9 out of 10 times it's stuff in there that people have sent back, and it's just an update for Lucy to see what's going on, to see what's happening with projects, if there's anything that she needs to be involved with. Number 4, again, speaks for itself. Matt has dealt with any emails I go back on. If there's anything in the inbox, which 9 out of 10 times there is quite a bit in the inbox that comes into Lucy, and I can deal with it if I reply to it or if I take it onto my own plate, whether it be a project or if someone wants to book a meeting with Lucy or something like that, I then move it to the Matt has dealt with folder. Lucy will look through that as well when she has some spare time, just to see if there's anything that she needs to follow up on, or if there's anything that she's got coming up, just something there that she can have. It's kind of like a safety net, if you like. And to be deleted. Well, again, that's self-explanatory. I'm sure, as many of your executives do, we get a lot of spam email coming. We got a lot of emails coming that aren't necessarily relevant, or stuff that may not need to be seen, and we put that into to be deleted. And as I said, with the Matt has dealt with, it's a safety net. It's something there, so it doesn't go straight into the recycling bin. It doesn't sit there, and it doesn't get fully deleted. So Lucy can look through every now and again. Now, one tip I found with this system is, as we all know, with the inboxes, several of us have different folders as we're going along, especially our executives. When I first started doing this system, I labeled the folders in the mailbox. We use G Suite. This week, FYI, and as it goes down. I then found that even though I put them, they were still moving down to the bottom or moving in within the other files. So a useful hint that I would share with you if you're looking to implement this system, or you have done already, is I put a and a full stop for the words for the folders. That way it raises it straight to the top. So when you go into your executive's inbox, they go into it, see at the top that they've got today, this week, FYI, dealt with, to be deleted. It's just a great way to keep it at the top, so you and your executive don't have to go through scrolling through endless lists to find out what's going on. And also, one thing we do with these folders, you can create subfolders. So for example, today, when we've got events taking place, I'll set a subfolder up under today for events. So instead of having it all in one place and you've got, say, for example, I don't know, 200-300 emails, you can go into today events and see what's going on with the events. You can go into today and see what's going on with that. I do it often with this. This is just a template, so if there's other ones you want to add in, I have also added in a personal folder for Lucy as well. So if she gets anything from her family or anything like that that's personal, it can go in there so Lucy can look at. As I said, it's a light bulb moment. It's a moment that really changed how I did things, and it's something that I really would recommend you do if you can. Now, as we all know, going back to the system, it's something that may not work for all of us, and it's something that you want to talk about implementing with your boss. There are executives out there who unfortunately are not ready to share their inboxes with their assistants. And we speak to many of them, and we speak to many assistants who'd say, my executive won't share their inbox with me, what do I do? We always say to them, go to them with this project or this system, however you want to word it. And again, I'll send you a copy of the PDF after the event. Go to them and say, look, I heard this guy today spoke about this way that we can filter down the emails. I can have control of your inbox. I can sort it out so you can just go in at ease and you can just make it work for you. And when you go to them, say to them, what if we try it for, I don't know, a month, for example? We could then meet up again and we can see how it goes. So in a way, you're giving them the idea. And at the end of the day, if they like it, they can keep it. If they don't, then you go back to how it was. But we do say, if you don't have access to your executive's inbox, you are not able to be the best you can be for them. You're not able to see what's going on fully. You're not able to be there to make sure they're being the best they can be. Every morning when I come in, when I first come in to, I say, the office, obviously most of us are working from home now. When I come into the office, I'll go through my inbox. I'll then go through Lucy's and look what needs to be done for the day. We'll then also have a look at Lucy's sent emails. Now, I find this is a really great way to keep up with what's going on in Lucy's life, work life. So if there's anything, for example, sometimes there's messages that have been sent where it says, oh, I've copied Matt in, for example, and I've not been copied in. So I can then pick that up and go back to the person and arrange the call or send the details, whatever it might be. Some people I've said it to think, oh, you know, they say to me, oh, is that not snooping? And Lucy trusts me enough to know that I'm not snooping. I'm doing it so I can much information on the business and find out what is going on. If there's anything I need to do, if there's stuff I can take from Lucy. So it's a great way to get ahead of the curve as well and to be a step ahead. And as I said, it was a light bulb moment for us, and it's worked really well, especially over the last year with us being at home, and it's a great way to communicate and to know what's going on. So as we all know, we've got different projects that take place. These are just some of them. As an assistant, we don't just have emails. We've got events, we've got social media, we've got some do HR, some do all sorts of travel when that happened and when it will happen again in the future. Email, I find, is the biggest point for me. It's the main point. It circles around everything else. If you haven't got the emails under control for you and your executive, mainly your executive, you are costing them and your company money. I understand there may be stuff that you're going to miss. We are all busy, and you know, we're human, we miss stuff, we make mistakes, and there's been times when I put stuff into the wrong folders, and that's why it's put into the folder. So Lucy can sit and look, and sometimes she'll say, oh, that one shouldn't have gone in there, and that should have gone in there. And it's great to know, but having control of the emails means you can get control of everything else around you, not just for your executive, for the company as well. You're in control of that. Think how much time and money you're going to save, not just your executive, but your company as well. And everybody, especially at the moment, loves to know about saving money. I've just seen a question pop up. I'll just have a look at that once I finish the presentation, and we can go through any questions you might have. So make sure to use your network. One thing I found when I was first came on working for Lucy 9 years ago is how important your network is, especially when it comes to this sort of thing. When I took over Lucy's inbox, as I said, I had absolutely no clue how to do it. I had no clue where to start. Looking at that with the 40,000 emails in there was just absolutely insane. I just didn't know where to start. So I went to my network, and they helped us to figure out this triage system. They helped us to figure out this system, which we now have in place. to this day. Also nurture your network. You know, one thing that a lot of people do is I've seen doing, it's not just in the assistant industry, it's personally and in other industries, is that you only go to your network when you need some advice. I would always recommend nurturing your network. Don't just go to them when you need advice, because they may not come back to you. Always be there and be willing to do that. So one thing, again, I learned this from my network. One thing that is really good we put into place, me and Lucy put into place, and it helped with having access to the email triage with the email triage system, looking in the folders, is time boxing. Now, when we have big projects coming up, as I said before, we had a big event last week with 1,600 people. And tomorrow we are rebranding, and we are then going to be doing a party in the evening. So it's going to be a great few weeks, and it's going to be a busy few weeks. So one thing that we put in is time boxing. So time boxing really, really helps with big projects or small projects, whatever it might be. If someone comes in, if Lucy's got an event coming up, whether it be in person or whether it be online at the moment, we stick stuff into the calendar so we know what needs to happen for that day. For example, if Lucy has a video she needs to record, instead of just saying, right, you need to record this, add it to the list, I'll put in an hour or 2 hours or whatever it might be for the recording into the diary. So Lucy knows that, say, for example, 10 o'clock in the morning, Lucy then needs to go on and record that video. And we do it with all sorts of things, whatever comes in. If Lucy needs to write an article, if Lucy needs to prepare a presentation, if we've got stuff coming up for events, booking time for doing marketing for the event, booking time for whatever it may be. But time boxing is something that really, really helps. And having the folders, having the emails broken down into that system will give you a clearer picture on how you can make time boxing work for your executive and for yourself. I do it for myself as well. So when we have big projects coming up, as I said, instead of having lists, you know, we can all have lists, pages and pages of lists. I don't know about you guys, there's something really therapeutic about crossing off something on a list. But I find as well that having it in the diary, my mind space knows that I need to focus on that. I can switch off my emails, I can switch off my phone, and I can focus on that for the allotted time. So again, when you go to your boss and you say you saw this guy talking about the email triage system, maybe mention time boxing as well if it's something you don't do, because it'll be really useful to have that implemented and think how much time it's going to save you, your company, and your. So new ideas. Always happy to do new ideas. Time boxing again was a new idea that we implemented when we did the triage system. This is something that me and Lucy are always talking about, is new ideas. And having access, breaking the emails down, we can see it clearly. We can see what's going on, what's working and what isn't working. And also time boxing gives us that. When we look at our diaries and we say, oh, we've got this today, we've got that today, let's do a new project. Me and Lucy can sit down and go, great, where can we book that in? So when it comes to that, when it comes to booking that stuff in, always sit down, have your calendar in front of you and the emails in front of you, so you can sit down and you can talk and you can say, when can we book that in? How important is that? So have that available to hand. Now, how many of you have heard of sand and stones? And again, this is an idea, a new idea that me and Lucy came up with. So how many of you have heard of the sand and stones? So I'm just going to open up the chat if I can. I'm not sure which. Let me hear, my apologies. So the sand and stone. So the sand and stone, as everybody knows, or you will know, I didn't know this before, I had it explained to me. You put stones in first. So the stones, they are, oh, sorry, I've just had a notification. So the stones are what go in first. They're your projects, they're your hard work, they're the stuff you need to get done today. We all know that there's stuff that we don't want to do, and the sand can be put in first. So sand is all the boring stuff you need to do, like, I don't know if it's uploading events or putting stuff in the calendar, whatever it might be for you. Stones need to go in first. You need to ensure those stones are in there. You need to ensure that they're in there to make sure that everything is done, that you're on top of things. And again, time boxing and the triage system will help with this. But put your stones in the glass first, and then all the other bits, the bits for this week, for example, they can be the sand that go around the stone, so you can make sure that you fit it all in and that it all works. So this is the quote I absolutely love. Talent is one of the most valuable assets you can possess. As an assistant, we have talent, we are full of talent, we wouldn't be able to do the job. We have such an amazing set of skills. Be who you can be. Go to your boss, suggest this system, and I'm more than happy to send you a copy of the triage system. Does anyone have any questions? I'm going to stop sharing my screen. Just have a look at the questions we've got. Hi, Lorraine. Thank you for your question. So what I tend to do is I will go in first thing in the morning when we come in, and I will have a look through all the emails that Lucy has in her inbox, and I will go through and I will do that. We then have a look at what is in the deleted folder, and Lucy will look at it as well, and she'll sit there and she'll delete them. I normally go through, I used to be one of these people that would sit there all day putting emails into folders and things like that. And I spoke to Lucy and we said, you know, it's not working, it's not time efficient, it's not necessarily beneficial for both of us. Stuff was being missed by Lucy and I wasn't getting other stuff done. What I do, I'll go into Lucy's inbox a couple of times a day. As I said, first thing in the morning, I'll go down and clear down everything. So I'll just leave into Lucy's inbox the stuff that I think she needs to look at today. I will then go into Lucy's inbox a couple of times in the day, and I will only move stuff that I think should be deleted throughout the day, or if a payment's coming or something like that. Obviously, it will differ from company to company. I will move them to the relevant folders so I know it can clear up space in Lucy's inbox so she can see what she needs to see. And then at the end of the day, whatever the time might be for the end of your working day, we'll then go into Lucy's inbox again and completely file everything. So I know that Lucy's got a clear inbox. Come in the morning, anything that's coming are either replies to emails that Lucy has sent overnight or whenever it might be, or if it's something new that has come in that we need to look at. I find for me personally, headspace wise, having that clear inbox by the end of the day, it doesn't mean everything's done. That's not what I mean. Having that clear inbox, knowing that you can go away and it says 0 in the inbox, there's stuff in the folders, but for me, it means I can start day tomorrow with a clear headspace. I know we can start again, look at what needs doing and go from there. Categories isn't really something we've personally used. Again, the 5-folder system or the triage system really works well for us. So it's something that's really worked well. Categories is something we've spoken about briefly, but it's not something we've implemented yet. We do have folders obviously further down the line. So when it comes to events and things like that, if an email has been dealt with, it will be moved a little further down the line, but into the folders. So I guess that's our categories that we use, but the triage system is the main one that we use.
Brilliant. Thank you, Matthew. I think we've got a couple more in the chat box as well for you.
Let me just have a look.
They're coming all in thick and fast now.
Yeah, no, go for it, Alison. Like I say, I'm more than happy to send you a copy of the triage. I'll put my email in the chat box in a second, so please feel free to email me if you haven't already, and I can send you a PDF copy. If you want any advice on how to go to your manager, if you want to spend a couple of minutes with me talking about the best way to do that, I'm more than happy to do that. So please just let me know, and good luck. I hope it goes well. Let's have a look.
Just in answer as well to one of those questions, the recording will be available after of the session.
Yeah, so Lucy does look at these folders. There are times when Lucy's busier, and like I say, when she's traveling and things like that, she might not get a chance to look at them as much as she does. We found that if we just left emails in the inboxes, it would get to the point where by the end of the day, we would have 400 or 500 emails in there. And probably about 80% of that is just stuff that you get from email newsletters and things like that. So being able to divide it down, be able to break it down has really helped. It saves Lucy the time of having to scroll through pages and pages of her inbox. She knows she only needs to go to one folder, have a look at what needs to be done and go from there. But as I say, throughout the day, I will leave stuff in Lucy's main inbox. It needs to be dealt with throughout the day, so she can see it, so she can go on. And it's mainly for ease as well.
We've got another 2 in the Q&A for you as well, Matthew.
Yeah. Sorry, I didn't see them pop up. Apologies.
2 different chat boxes.
Oh, that's a good question. How long did it take to clear the original bulk of emails you had? Well, I spent about 2 weeks going through 40 to 50,000 you had in there. And I went through and divided them all up. I binned them, whatever it was. And it got to a point where I said to Lucy, look, this is just not going to work. We cannot go through this. We cannot make this work. And we do something just to move all of these out so they're done and we don't have to deal with them. So me and Lucy agreed. We put all of those, I think it was about 30,000 left when I got to it. We put them all in a folder called Beyond Help. And we said to Pete, we said, you know, if anything's urgent, people will come back to us. And once all those emails had gone into Beyond Help, we then started the triage system, and that's worked ever since. Yeah, of course, I'm more than happy to do that. Lindsay, I'll pop my email into the chat box in a second, and please feel free to contact me to get a copy.
There was one more in there as well, Matthew.
Let's have a yes, perfect. How do I manage after my days off? Oh, so for example, when I came back after Christmas, we normally have about 3 weeks. We closed the office for 3 weeks over Christmas. Came back over Christmas. I think in my inbox, I had about 300 emails. And in Lucy's inbox, I think it was about 600 emails. So it took me a couple of days to go through. Luckily, a lot of that was, as we get people replying to chain emails and things like that. A lot of that's newsletters and things like that. After days off, Lucy is quite good with emails. If she's replied to something when I'm off, she will file it, which is obviously really helpful. But it normally takes me about half a day to a day, depending on how many emails are there, to go through and filter them through quickly. So I will sit there. I do get time to start my work, but one thing I always do firstly is clear down the inboxes so I know if there's anything I need to do before I start getting on with other projects.
Brilliant. Thank you very much, Matthew. Unfortunately, that's all we've got time for. I think we've got all the questions. Just a couple more in the chat. There's the thank you. So what we'll do after is I'm going to send around to all the attendees Matthew's details so they can contact you direct and they can send around a copy of the slides. And I think a few other people have asked for the triage system as well. So yeah, we'll get that all over for you. But thank you so much for coming on today. It's been brilliant. And for those of you that are staying on for the next session, I will see you in about 10-15 minutes. For those of you that are later on in the day, I'll see you then. Thank you so much again, Matthew. And
thank you, Charlotte. It's been a pleasure.
Thank you. Take care, everyone. Bye-bye. Bye.